There's Tony with camera.
Yes, indeed. I had a little quick thing to change on my settings.
I think since we're a few minutes over, we could probably go ahead and start. Let me do a quick screen share. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us today. We'll start the official presentation in just a minute or two. And I just want to thank you all for being a part of this exciting top 5 webinar and top 5 KM technologies. And it's, I think, the second in our series started by John of our top 5 webinars. We hope to do more soon. Certainly an interesting way to do a webinar. So I'm just going to show you real quick, for those of you who are new to KMI, where you can go to access more free content. I think you have my screen up. Laura, can you give me a quick thumbs up if you see the website? Great. Okay. Always want to make sure. So whatever you'd like to get more information on these webinars, past webinars, events that are coming up, just go to kminstitute.org. And if you hover over the webinar section, you'll see all of our free content. So I like to point folks to the actual webinar channel. If you go down to the KMI webinar series, you'll see all the activity. Past webinars, all the recordings that we've done are all loaded here for your perusal. So do check that out. And of course, any updates of what's coming up soon will be posted here too. So you can always go to the webinar page for all the latest. So do check that out. Alrighty, well, let's take a quick look at the gallery. Now we've got 24. And it looks like one of our co-hosts is letting folks in, so that's good. All right, so I'll go ahead and do a quick introduction. Let me stop share. So today we have, Dr. Tony Rhem is our resident expert in all things content management. He teaches our information architecture certification class. We just wrapped up one of his recently, and there's another one coming up in October. So we're excited to have, we call him Tony, but I always like to start off with Dr. Tony Rhem. So I didn't have Tony here as a co-host. And we have John Hovell. John is our expert in all things knowledge transfer, retention, and he's one of our CKM instructors. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, gentlemen, and thank you very much.
All right. Well, I'm going to hand it over to John. He has done a great job of setting up the premise. So I'm going to let John set up the premise real quickly. And by the way, thank you all for joining us this morning. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. And yeah, hopefully it's a back and forth and quite informal. For those of you in the United States, and I believe other countries do this as well, the idea here is, there's late night TV shows where one of the things they do is they do a top 3 or a top 5 or a top 10, and it's meant to be funny. The intent is to bring a smile. We have a sports channel called ESPN that also does this, where they do the top 10 sports moments. And frankly, it's kind of ridiculous. It's, you could ask me today, what is my top 5? And you can ask me again tomorrow, and it'll be a completely different list of top 5, top 10. So it's meant to bring a smile, meant to bring a little thought exercise. And so, yeah, Tony and I we each have a list of top 5 to share with you here. And then we'll break into small groups and we'll have conversations to hear about your list of top 5 KM technologies. So I think, Tony, the way we were going to do it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, sir.
Each of us. So if you're up first, what's your number 5?
Number 5.
Yeah.
SharePoint team collaboration. I wonder if it makes anybody's list. But SharePoint team collaboration is basically SharePoint and Microsoft Teams together, right? It's
right.
It's Microsoft's collaboration platform, and allows you also to share documents and planning and do a lot of things like that. I use that quite a bit. So that's my little skinny on SharePoint team collaboration.
Number 5, I like it. And some of you may or may not be surprised or happy that I'll give it away right now. SharePoint is not in my top 5. So we can begin the debate already. I cheated. My number 5 and my number 4, and Tony and I had a good laugh about this in our prep. I didn't choose a single technology for number 5.
Peter.
Yep, exactly. I went with, maybe you've heard of this, maybe you've seen it. It's called the Conversation Prism. You can go to conversationprism.com, or you can just Google it. It's a circle, it's a big graphic, and it's got something like 30 different categories of technology. And then in each of those slices of the pie, it's got the top 5 or 10 logos. So the top 5 blogs, the top 5 location sharing, the top 5 microblogs, the top 5 video platforms. So I love the Conversation Prism as an aggregate technology. So yes, I cheated. Tony, what's your 4?
Next is Open Text KM Solutions. So again, I can claim that this is also a suite of tools as well. Open Text has evolved over the years, and really specifically in the information management space, this is where this plays. But it really focuses on knowledge management, knowledge capture, actual explicit knowledge, and being able to arrange and organize and be able to capture knowledge. And it's has an added content services piece, and also enables you to customize the look and feel for the user interface within OpenText. And many times, what I've seen, either organizations are transitioning from SharePoint to OpenText, or OpenText to SharePoint. So it's top, my number 4 on my list.
I like it. Thank you, Tony. And yes, Jennifer, I see your text. When we go to the conversation part, I'll make sure I grab links for all of these and put it in the chat too. Number 4 for me is collaboration superpower. So one more skirting the issue response from me. My entire top 5, I think I'll kind of share quickly at this point. I really struggled with this because it's a bit of an impossible ask. It really, as Tony and I are going to both talk about this, it really does depend on the need. What are you trying to do with this technology? So this is where what I ended up going with was I thought, like, well, what size of client? What are the most popular KM technology needs? What I ended up going with is this top 5 are sort of the top 5 technologies or lists that I find myself going back to over and over and over again. So I use that Conversation Prism a lot. I use Collaboration Superpowers even more. It's another website, and I'll put the link in the chat. You can Google it, and I think it's like collaborationsuperpowers.com, I think is what it is. It's a social list where hundreds of people are maintaining a list of categories of tools. So it's similar, very similar to the Conversation Prism, but instead of 1 or 2 people maintaining the list, it's many, many people maintaining the categories and the names of tools. And I find most of the tools listed on that website are quite rare. They're, it's ones that you may or may not have heard of or played with before. So I promise that's my last cheat. Number 3, 2, and 1 are real technologies.
See, there's a pattern. There's a pattern here. So my next one, number 3, is Right Answers Enterprise Knowledge Hub. I don't know if how many of you guys heard of this one, but they are one of the few organizations that I've actually leveraged in different vendor analysis for different clients, that they incorporate the KCS methodology in their platform, knowledge center support in their platform. And it's geared toward help desk applications, but it's also very good at collecting, again, capturing explicit knowledge and componentizing or making that knowledge consumable for the user. So it's really help desk centric. KCS is the backbone of KCS. It's a really good GUI user interface, and that's on my top 3. You guys may see a pattern here in my top 3. these are tools I've actually used or actually evaluated for clients. And it's on more on an enterprise level, enterprise solution level. So that's just give you a hint from, my next two, you can, probably feel, where this is probably going. So.
Yep, Tony, and I'll build on it too. Yes, I didn't even realize this was the beauty of being in partnership and conversation and back and forth between us. All of yours are enterprise-wide tools, and by chance, it wasn't I didn't realize that it wasn't purposeful. My top 5 they're probably more individual, probably more personal knowledge management, because I put number 3. And again, if you ask me tomorrow or debate me on this, you could easily change my mind. But I went with Evernote. I'm between Evernote and Notion because I'm a little bit irritated by some of the latest changes in Evernote. But again, I was just trying to be real with myself that what do I use every single day? What do I find myself going back to as a knowledge management technology? I'm in Evernote every single day, probably multiple times per day, journaling, drawing, taking notes, saving photos, saving links. It's a tool that I put stuff and I search it and I go back to it, and I share Evernote notebooks with other people. So it is kind of a social note-taking tool for me too. So I went with kind of a PKM tool, Evernote. Tony?
Okay, and this is another enterprise knowledge management platform. It's Oracle Knowledge or Oracle Knowledge Management, if you want to search Oracle Knowledge Management. If you guys know any history here, it's previous product. They had Oracle bought the Inquirer tool and incorporated it into a platform and call it Oracle Knowledge Management. The real cool thing about this product, it has a very sophisticated search engine, rule-based, semantic search engine, very powerful. Takes advantage of metadata and ontology management. It has a real good authoring environment in where you can author content very specific to the different various channels. You can also leverage a lot of what we do in the information architecture space to build out related content and implement it within this platform. So you can have very consumable pieces of content, put it together, break it apart, very reusable. You can put just about any user interface on top of this. It works very well with enterprise ontology management tools like Smart Logic. So that's why it's number 2 for me. It's a very powerful tool, and it's, again, enterprise. I mean, it's really slick. So anyway, that's my number 2.
Love it. Number 2. I went with WhatsApp. I'm guessing everybody's familiar with WhatsApp, so maybe not too surprising there. Like Evernote and Notion, I'm kind of between those two, slightly more Evernote. I'm between WhatsApp and Signal, and I really don't use the built-in text tools on phones. I go with WhatsApp for more international texting and group texting, especially the group side of WhatsApp. So yes, I've got lots of one-on-one all the time, right? That's part of the dare I say, addiction to phones. Is WhatsApp is one of the first ones I go into every time I open my phone. But like I say, especially the group. So I've joined knowledge management groups, organization development groups, Gestalt groups, organization development groups, many different group chats. And I put some thought into, almost putting Slack as number 2 here. But yeah, exactly. Like I kind of had to be true to myself and say, 2 or 3 of the Slack groups I'm in are very active, but the WhatsApp groups I'm in are very active. It's an everyday or close to it feels like every day things are being posted, and dare I say relevant, right? It's like it's the edge of conversation. I sort of feel involved and trusted, and I guess I'd even say I'm really learning as I use WhatsApp. So yeah, I didn't realize I was going to do this, but it is quite a personal knowledge management or small group KM type of tool. All right, Tony. We need like a drum roll or something.
Number one, drum roll.
Number one for Tony. Here you go. Ready?
Number one, IBM Watson Knowledge Catalog. Okay. Again, I have a certain bias because this platform really takes information architecture and really put it on steroids. I mean, this leverages all the work we do in the IA space. It's for content creation, organizing, structuring of your content, and then it provides that environment for your analytic tools. That's why you have Watson in it, right? So it's a powerful environment, curate your content, then apply machine learning to it, to the content to be able to glean, I would say knowledge from your data or insights from your data. So it's really kind of not only it kind of blends both KM and AI, and it goes into a more higher level of knowledge delivery in the form of insights in the various content that you curate within this platform. So very powerful. It incorporates, like I said, the machine learning and deep learning algorithms, and so I think it's fantastic. It's where information architecture really plays a key role in not only KM, but it really demonstrates how it plays a key role in artificial intelligence. Because as the saying goes, there's no AI without IA. So that's my number one, IBM Watson Knowledge Catalog. Yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Celebration. Where's my? We need sounds, and where's my reactions tab? I want to do like here you go, the party. The big number one. All right, here's my big number one too. Number one also, and I think those of you that have worked with me and partnered, I'm just a ridiculously huge fan of Miro. I love the development team. I love the inside culture. I love the agile nature of constantly adding new features. I enjoy Mural as well. So if you haven't used Miro or Mural, they're just, I've tried to list like kind of the competitors of my 1, 2, 3. It's an infinite canvas. So you can, in fact, we almost used it for today, but we just kept it simple and went with PowerPoint. So you can do Post-it notes, and you can move each other's Post-it notes. You can put text and graphics and videos and articles and links, and you can draw. It's a shared whiteboard. And if you've watched Zoom and seen the latest news, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, Zoom just released a brand new feature called Zoom Apps. And so you don't even have to like split screen anymore and have Miro open in a browser and Zoom open in the application. You can actually open Miro or Mural within Zoom itself without even leaving the application. It's still a little buggy because it's so new in the testing that I've done, but again, I am in Miro. I literally have a cookbook I've created personally for myself in Miro where I link all my recipes and put photos and that kind of stuff. I ran a workshop last night and used Miro for that. For the CKM, for Eric's KMI course, we used Miro for that. Just almost all of my clients I'm using Miro with. It's just a very interactive, individual, small group, and enterprise-wide tool for documenting and watching and interacting with conversations. And so there you have the top 5. But what do you?
That's
interesting. Have some thoughts on that, Tony? Yeah.
Let me jump in. Sorry about that. Let me jump in for a second. When we were putting this together, the one thing I noticed with John's list, and he expressed that it's team, it's personal, and you can feel his passion for certain tools that he has listed because he's using them. You can hear my passion because these are enterprise tools that I've recommended for clients and have worked very well. But the cool thing is some cross pollination here. I've also used Mural to help develop applications on those other platforms. It's the collaborative piece. It's the sharing of ideals. It's the works well with an agile environment. And with agile teams and doing from stand-ups to different Scrum activities. So I use Mural a lot in the development of those applications. So it's you can see how you can use one tool for team collaboration or to develop another tool for enterprise consumption. It's almost like we drinking our own Kool-Aid, right? And using knowledge management to produce knowledge management. So it's just wanted to bring that up the light here, and just this is funny because we use certain tools to do other things with other tools, so which is pretty cool.
Agreed, and I've used all your top five as well. Love all of them. Beautiful list. I imagine what would also fit on that list. I've used Remedy a lot for help desk software and knowledge bases. Works pretty well. Learning management systems. So I don't. In a way, we're trying not to do plugs for things either, but like SumTotal, Moodle, Blackboard, Cornerstone, Saba, Plateau. Those might fit pretty well in there. I'm in a weird way kind of surprised. Atlassian, like Jira and the whole and Confluence.
Oh yeah,
Jira.
Yeah, Jira and
I can see that fitting really well on your
do that too.
List there too. So yeah, this is the fun. So that's what we tried to type at the bottom here. We both kind of laughed and said, this is ridiculous. You can't really have a top 5 KM tools. It really depends what you're trying to do. So what are you using it for? What are you trying to accomplish? Who's your audience? From what perspective? And this was as Tony just said too, is it organization wide? Is it for individuals? Is it for teams or projects? There's likely some overlap, but there's also, Trello. I see Mohammed sharing. Trello is another great, sharing tool, pretty social as well for lists and cards and stuff. So what do you think, Tony? Should we do small groups?
Just one other comment. There are quite a few tools on the horizon, right? There are quite a few smaller companies, startups that are producing some very innovative products.
Yeah.
It's a tool that's not even available yet called KM Engine, which brings together both tacit and explicit sources and has a natural language processing search engine on top of it, sort of like an Oracle Knowledge or combining some of these other tools capabilities. So it's the startups and some of these smaller innovative companies are doing some great things. And as we see in the industry now, we're going to see more and more AI and KM related integrations. And so those are other tools to look out for too.
Yeah, and the one I wanted to mention, I remember on our prep talking about this. I met a developer who created, I think it's Hubbub.com. And what Hubbub is, it's basically competing with Zoom, but what it does a little bit different is it uses spatial audio. So on screen, you can choose a graphic like a beach or a cafe or a restaurant, and you create tables, and people click on circles, and your webcam turns into a circle instead of a square, which I don't know, a rectangle is kind of fun. And you can hear the hubbub of the room. You can hear all of the conversations going on through your laptop, or through your speakers. But the further away someone's circle is from you, the softer the volume is. So it takes a little getting used to, but it's actually kind of amazing. It almost feels like you're in a cafe or in a restaurant where you can hear the noise around you, but it's the people that are sitting right next to you on screen on Hubbub. Their volume is so much louder that you can hear them clearly. But so it's Hubbub, and that's one that's brand new. Yeah, side conversations can come back. So there you go. I've got breakouts ready. If you think, Tony, we should try that.
But I'm going to answer one question before we break out. about BA Insights and their use of intelligent search, and how information architecture through development of ontologies contribute to that ability for that search to really work well. So BA Insights is another organization that has a very powerful search capabilities. And so, somebody mentioned that, and one of the other pieces that for their intelligent search is that they are able to deliver more personalized search, and that personalization is engineered through information architecture. So I mean, I know the person that posted that information or wanted us to comment on that. Definitely is understanding that BA Insights is up there in the search world. So, okay.
So yeah, let's try it. Our lists are wrong, so we'd love to hear your list. Or at least I'll say my list is wrong.
Well, my list is personal, and John's is personal, and so we are both right. Yes,
in our own special way. So yeah, let's do groups of like 4 and 5 people, so relatively small groups. We're right on time, so we're hoping to do 2 rounds of like 10, 12 minutes each. So yeah, just basically share your list and hear from others, and then we'll come back at the end and we can do questions and kind of a group level conversation. So yeah, let me send you off and share your own top 5 or reactions to our lists. Here we go. Enjoy. Ahmed, welcome back.
Thank you.
How did it go in the first group?
Well, that was interesting. The one point that we haven't thought of was like one of my group members, she's from India, and she's working with the government department. And now what they're doing is they are building their own knowledge management tool because of the privacy issues. So, yeah, sorry, my cat is messing up things. But yeah, and then we figured it out that Trello is one of the new tools on the horizons. And like I'm working with an NGO, I'm looking after the media and communication side of it. And considering COVID, people are working from home, including my team members. The Trello is good for making campaigns, collaborative and co-creating stuff. And
yeah, so custom built.
My members also shared other tools like custom built is something new that we haven't thought of because of rights of information and governments putting a lot of
right. All right, well, let's try one more round. I've made it so that you should be with a different group of people this time. And let me put in chat, I grabbed all of the links. So that should stick with you as you go to your breakout room too. So there's for Tony's top 5 and my top 5. Now you have direct links to all 10. And yeah, let's do one more 10-minute round, and then we can come back as a full group. So what is your top 5 KM tools? Enjoy. John, good to see you.
Hello.
Looks like room 4 jumped back. Everybody else will be here in 3 seconds. Here we go. Oh, lots of videos turned on. All right. Welcome back.
All right. I was saying something and just
Me too.
Right in the middle.
Tony, I was saying that I love or right.
Fantastic.
So yeah, sorry, Tony, but yeah, wide open for everybody now. How we got 4, 5, 6 minutes left. What would we like to talk about as a group? Anybody have any breakthrough thoughts?
I have a question that's a philosophical question about how these companies are sustaining themselves by free but selling your content and then access to, personal knowledge management or enterprise options. I'm just concerned about people. I'm not that important, but taking my content, not for intellectual, but just being able to track and stuff like that. How do people answer those questions, especially when they come using free sources?
Yeah, and then just before, because of time-wise, I hear your question, how does this mean? But then also, is it Anine or Anene?
Anene.
Anene, I saw your hand go up too. Do you want to pop your question in, and we can all
Tom.
play with two questions?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's taking us a little bit off the topic, but just how now, like Tony said, right? There's no, everything's moving towards the information architecture and AI, artificial intelligence. So it feels like if you're a KM expert, you kind of have to be an IT or IA expert. How do we balance it, and what's your advice from you and Tony? What's the advice that you have for those of us who are kind of mid-career and could go any direction? Because my focus is on the culture and the processes side of things, not necessarily on the technology side of things. Yeah.
Take her question. That's a much better one.
I'll take a stab at that because, we had to think of knowledge management as people, process, and technology. Right, so there's a heavy people and process side because that is a foundational side. You want to get your processes and your methods, understand your people, how they work, what type of knowledge that they need to then inform the technology decision. And so you can stay. I would pick the one that you're more comfortable with. I know a lot of tech folks that say, hey, I want to go get in the KM, I want to get in the nuts and bolts. And understand how KM and AI work together, and then that's information architecture. That's some more of the data science piece. You can get involved in that, but you have to understand the people in the process area first. What are you going? What knowledge are you seeking to connect people with, and then what are the needs of your knowledge workers and the delivery of that knowledge. So process is super important.
Yeah.
And before you even get to the tools.
Okay, thank you.
Nene, I did the same thing. My undergrad and my master's, I was really lucky and privileged to earn, are both in IT. So probably overly comfortable with the IT stuff. And as the decades have passed, I've focused more and more on continuous process improvement and Lean Six Sigma and the process stuff. And now I've gone back and got a degree in organization development and certifications in psychotherapy, and I've really gone the people route, and that's so it's been kind of a path that way, but I don't know how to politely say, somehow the people side feels abundant and open and sort of never ending. I guess there's an aspect that says the technology is always changing, so that's true too, but yeah, there's something about the people stuff that I really, there's a lot to explore.
And to add to that, from a formal education side, that's one thing, but I was going to suggest things like Udemy or Coursera in picking up those little bits of knowledge that can apply to things like UI or to AI.
Absolutely. And KMI also has focus areas as well that hit the people and process side too. So it's a lot out there. My advice is to find your passion, find where you really want to spend your time, because there's a lot out here to help support that. So I think that's a fantastic question, by the way.
Sure
and
is.
to get back to your own personal knowledge and making sure that it's safe. Companies have to follow certain privacy laws, both in the U.S. and in Europe. So that's out there. You look at some of the disclaimers on some of these free tools or some of these other lower level tools. Be careful, because they'll opt you in by default. So make sure that those buttons are not selected. If you start to get a lot of emails, unsubscribe, try to catch it as fast as you can, because, I always say data is the new currency. So they can start packaging, consumer information, results of how you shop, what you do, and sell it to other companies. So that's on the other side.
Thank you, Tony. I see a bunch of hands up. So yeah, if you've got to jump here, I know it's time. So thank you so much. But yeah, Mohammed and Gopesh, I'm happy to stick around for a minute and keep chatting. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony, thank you. I mean, my point was same, taking from Nene. I mean, for the knowledge management, it is like a people, process, and technology. But what I can see is that technology is taking bigger share now, into this entire domain. And I wanted to just understand with the artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT things, that entire stuff is coming, and more of our data is getting collaborated. And like you said, information is a new currency. So data, information, and obviously it is turning into the knowledge. So what do you see? I mean, eventually I can see that, this entire information is getting collected, and probably these knowledge products are getting, curated by AI, and then, turning into the knowledge. And then probably the share of people and culture, is it going to reduce? I mean, as a whole, if I'm saying, and technology is going to take a major role?
Well, technology is going to start taking a major role, but it's going to be a shift in as far as the people side of it. People had to be reskilled. They're going to have to kind of pivot on some of the roles that are being played out. I always preach, as far as AI is concerned, keeping the person in the loop, people in the loop, so you won't have the machine pretty much taking over and doing things that you're not aware of. So there's also quite a bit of AI ethics and data ethics being driven out there. I'm also one of the founding on the founding editorial board of AI and Ethics Journal from Springer. So we did a lot of research in those areas. So it's stuff we got to keep an eye on. We have to be the drivers of that, and that understanding. So that's a great point.
Yeah, such great questions. I love Nene's question. I love Gopesh's too. I don't know if I should or not, but I'll really quickly add in there, like Diana and Luis Suarez are active in these groups that do social business or distributed workforce. And so using those buzzwords for a minute, KMI, who's kind of hosting this webinar, during our 5-day Certified Knowledge Manager course on Wednesday or Thursday, usually Wednesday, we split the class into two groups, and we have this really fun, memorable debate where half the class is fighting for KM is all about technology, and the other half of the class is fighting for KM is all about people and culture and behaviors. Everybody already knows it's both, but it's a really fun debate to just practice, listening for both sides and the debate on both sides. And yeah, to Tony's point and to your question, with COVID and whatever happens after COVID, if there even such a thing as after COVID, distributed workforce, social business, right? Technology is required for collaborating and getting work done when we're not both physically sitting in the same room. It's both. Mohammed?
Thank you. I just have a comment. I'm working with the development sector in Pakistan, and I mean, as you guys have mentioned, like top 5 KM tools, and in different organizations in different contexts using different tools. The tools doesn't matter unless we know what are we going to use those tools for. And then in the development sector specifically, we just talk about numbers. But we need to understand there's a new term like data journalism coming up. And at the higher level or the management decision level, I mean, people don't understand the numbers. We need to understand how we translate those explicit numbers into implicit knowledge. So that is one point I want to highlight, because at the top level, when you have to make decisions, you don't get bogged down into the numbers. And yes, technology can help give us different patterns to understand how different cultures and how the behavior of the people are actually, being manipulated or changed. So we need to understand how to translate those, explicit information into implicit knowledge for decision makers to go about that. I just want to raise that point.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, the whole idea of reporting in a KI environment is so difficult because what do you report on? Do you look at views? Do you look at how do you gauge use? What knowledge contributed to what decision making? It's very difficult to quantify.
Sure is. Tony, what do you think?
These are challenges I think for all of us to kind of consider, and it just makes me makes me think about some of the things that I've done in the past that kind of can help support that. So it's and we could probably talk about this for another hour. So that's a great point. I want to bring up. I'm kind of multitasking because I'm actually supposed to be in another meeting, but I kind of enjoy this more. So, are we recording that? Okay. So the one thing I want to throw on top of there, one of the things that KMI is doing, and they like Eric had brought out, is it's a lot of different webinars that they've done that kind of tackle some of these questions and add insight. I did a session with KMI, AI ethics and its impact on knowledge management. And in that webinar, we discussed a lot of things around the AI and KM integration and the ethical nature of how AI has influenced the delivery of knowledge. So it's some of those things that I think KMI is, and it's an ecosystem. KMI has brought in some very established and knowledgeable instructors and people to work with them, such as John. And so they have a rich library of stuff, I would say, and more likely, and the blogs. I mean, I've written for their blog, and don't sleep on that. The blog provides a lot of insights as well to a lot of you guys' questions. I'm just, I'm taking this in and thinking, where can we go for some detailed information? Given the time right now, we are kind of out of time, but that's a great source as well. But so keep you guys, you can always reach out to John and myself, and we'll be more than happy to help as well.
Do we do one more, Retha? I think you have a question or a comment, story.
Yes, maybe just to respond to Diana's question about how do you measure.
Yeah.
One example that I came about, and I can't recall what the software name was, unfortunately, a year or 3 ago, was a company that looked at the marketing material that was provided to clients, and then to see if they actually got the deal or not. And for them, that was some measurement that the information that was captured in the marketing material about the products and the services and all of that, then contributed to the client making the decision to actually, go into a contract with them. And they had some calculations on what the value of that captured knowledge in those documents then is, based on the size of the contract and that type of thing. So that's sort of an external example. And then in terms of an internal example, also 2-3 years ago, we were going through a lot of change with the company that I worked at. And they wanted to measure if people actually saw all the change information, documents and contact lists and stuff like that. So we used the SharePoint number of views, which is very basic, but it showed that people actually clicked through from email and clicked on banners and all of that to actually get to this change information for that specific initiative. And we could then tell them, you know, and because generally the click-through from emails to corporate information internally was fairly low. At that stage, it was like 10 or 15%. In a fairly large company, nearly 30,000 people. But with this one specifically, because of the angle that they took with the graphics and all of that, we got a far higher rate of click-throughs from the emails to the content. And then also people visiting an item again. So that's another internal way to look at click-through and so on, to see if people actually find content in the search results and so on. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
I also saw in the chat one or two people talking about maybe that could be our next top 5 webinar, top 5 KM metrics or top 5 KM key performance indicators or measurement processes. I don't know. We could think about our next top 5. Happy to hear ideas on it because, like Eric said, I think we're just getting started with what's hopefully a fun little series of top 5 somethings. Eric, how should we close?
I think that's a wrap. Thank you very much, John. Tony had to take off, so thank you, Tony. And thank you for the rest of you who stayed on. We'll have the full recording ready in a few days, so we'll certainly let you know when that's ready. And hope to see you in the next top 5 or any webinar that we do.
All right. Thank you all. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.